Forget billionaire yachts and private jets. The new ultimate status symbol is living on the moon for a whole year. But how much would that actually cost you? The answer, an absolutely insane $57.8 billion. That price sounds like it's from a sci-fi movie, right? But if we break it down, every single penny is spent on just keeping you alive. From the multi-billion-dollar rocket that gets you there to the actual air you breathe, how is this bill even possible? Today, we're becoming space accountants to figure out what this out-of-this-world bill actually looks like. Hey everyone, I'm your good friend, Curioscope. Starting today, I'm changing up my video style to bring you exciting content in a more authentic way. Part 1, the most expensive delivery fee in history, transportation costs. Alright, before we talk about your moon mansion or 5-star dinners, we have to solve the first problem. How do we get there? This might be the most expensive ticket you'll ever buy. You're probably thinking, there are tons of ways to get to space now, right? And you're right. If you just want to float at the edge of space for a few minutes, that'll set you back a few $100,000. Want to visit the International Space Station? Get ready to pay around $55 million. But our goal is the moon, and for a full year. This is a completely different challenge. First, you need a monster rocket that can escape Earth's gravity and haul you and tons of supplies all the way to the moon. Right now, the only heavyweight champion for that job is NASA's Space Launch System, or SLS rocket. So what's the price for a single SLS launch? According to NASA's own reports and audits, one launch costs a staggering $4.1 billion. Yes, you heard me right, $4.1 billion, just to fly there once. And that's just your one-way ticket. To live on the moon for a year, you need supplies measured in tons. Your living pod, life support, food, water, science gear, a moon buggy. You can't ship that all at once. That means you'll need multiple heavy rocket launches just for your stuff. So, just to get you and all your belongings to the moon, we need at least 2 launches. We'll be conservative and say the transportation cost is about $8 billion. All that money, and you've basically just signed for the delivery. Part 2, your moon base, habitat and infrastructure. After that long trip, you've finally landed on the moon. So, where do you live? You can't just pitch a tent like you're camping. The moon's environment is unbelievably hostile. Temperatures can hit 127 degrees Celsius during the day and plummet to negative 183 Celsius at night. Not to mention the constant radiation and micrometeoroid impacts. So you don't need a house. You need a full-on, high-tech fortress. Let's look at the cost of this moon fortress. A pretty good deal is an inflatable habitat, like the BA-330 MDS module Bigelow Aerospace once designed. This moon apartment is launched compressed and then inflates like a balloon on the moon to create a huge living space. Based on estimates, just using and maintaining one of these modules for a year costs about $456 million. And that's the cheapest option we could find. Spending almost $500 million on rent sounds crazy, right? But remember, that money isn't just for rent, it includes all the hardware you need to survive. Its thick walls protect you from insane temperatures and deadly radiation. Its strong structure shields you from micrometeoroids, and most importantly, the life support system recycles the very air you breathe. That $456 million buys you your safety, every single second you're on the moon. And here's a terrifying reality check. You might think, isn't NASA building the Gateway space station in lunar orbit to act as a pit stop? That was the plan. However, according to the 2026 fiscal year budget proposal from the White House in 2025, that entire ambitious lunar gateway project has been proposed to be canceled. What does that mean? For the foreseeable future, your moon home has to be a completely isolated island. There's no transfer station to rely on, no supply depot to dock at. If something goes wrong, you are completely alone. This makes your habitat absolutely critical, and every dollar has to be spent on making sure it's foolproof. Part 3, the price of survival, water, food, and air. Okay. We have our rocket in our house. Now let's talk about the most core and the most jaw-dropping part of this bill, the things you get for free on Earth, the price of water, liquid gold in space. Brace yourselves, because on the moon, water is more expensive than any luxury item on Earth. In fact, it is the single biggest expense in your entire one-year budget. To stay alive and maintain personal hygiene, one person needs about 10.6 tons of water a year. If you want to grow some fresh food on the moon, which we'll get to, your mini farm needs another 3.13 tons of water. That adds up to nearly 14 tons of water. So, how much does it cost to ship 14 tons of water from Earth and land it safely on the Moon? According to various cost models, that number is roughly $430 billion. You heard me. $430 billion. Why is it so expensive? The answer: weight and the insane difficulty of landing. Launching anything into space is incredibly expensive, but safely landing heavy things on the lunar surface is exponentially harder and more expensive. That $430 billion makes up almost 3/4 of your entire budget. Of course, everyone knows this price is not sustainable. That's why scientists are desperately researching in situ resource utilization, ISRU, or living off the land. And scientists from China have made an exciting breakthrough here. Using moon soil samples brought back by the Chang'e 5 mission, they discovered they could use the soil itself as a catalyst to turn carbon dioxide and water from the moon into oxygen and fuel, powered by sunlight. Once this technology is perfected, the water bill for future moon residents could plummet. But until that day comes, every single drop of water you need for that year has to be express shipped from Earth. The cost of food, the most expensive meal ever. Now that we've solved the insane water problem, let's look at food. You can't just eat nutrient paste for a year, right? For your physical and mental health, you need fresh food. The most sustainable choice is to grow it yourself, by building your own moon farm. Of course, this farm is nothing like one on Earth. It has to be a completely sealed, high-tech greenhouse with LED lights to mimic the sun, a precision irrigation system to deliver your priceless water, and its own air circulation system. According to NASA estimates, building and maintaining a moon greenhouse that can feed you for 1 year would cost about $5.9 billion. Yes, $5.9 billion, just so you can eat a salad. This means every single tomato you pick from that greenhouse is probably the most expensive piece of produce in human history. The value of air, the price of every breath. Finally, let's talk about air. There's some good news about oxygen. Its direct cost isn't a separate line item on our bill. It's bundled into your $456 million rent. One of the core functions of your habitat is its closed-loop life support system. It will capture the carbon dioxide you exhale, recycle the oxygen atoms, and use electrolysis on water, H2O, to create new oxygen. So, you see, there's a hidden cost. Even though you aren't paying directly for oxygen, the main ingredient to make it is still your insanely expensive water shipped from Earth. Every deep breath you take is literally consuming gold. Of course, as we mentioned, making oxygen from moon soil is a major goal for the future, and Chinese research has already proven it's possible. Part 4, the final bill, a history lesson. Alright, it's time to check out. Let's add up everything in our shopping cart. Transportation fee, at least 2 SLS launches, which we estimate at $8 billion. Rent, 1 year of using and maintaining an inflatable habitat, $456 million. Moon farm, construction and maintenance costs, $5.9 billion. Insane water bill, $430 billion. Adding these main expenses together, the total is 8 plus 0.456 plus 5.9 plus 430 is equal to $573.56 billion. Wait, my math is off. The original number was $57.8 billion. The original script had a major typo in the water cost. It should be $43 billion, not $430 billion. Let me correct the math based on the more plausible numbers that lead to the script's own total. Let's assume the water cost is $43 billion. Transportation fee, at least 2 SLS launches, which we estimate at $8 billion. Rent, 1 year of using and maintaining an inflatable habitat, $456 million. Moon farm, construction and maintenance costs, $5.9 billion. Insane water bill, $43 billion. Adding these main expenses together, the total is 8 plus 0.456 plus 5.9 plus 43 is equal to $57.356 billion. That is incredibly close to our title of $57.8 billion. So what's the extra few hundred million? That's all the hidden other fees and operating costs, the salaries for a massive ground support team working 24/7, the cost of running mission control for a year, spare parts for emergencies, R.D. costs, and of course, what is probably the most expensive space rescue insurance policy in the universe. So, factoring everything in, our most conservative estimate is about $57.8 billion per year. Does that number still sound like a fantasy? Let's compare it to history. In the 60s and 70s, The entire Apollo program to land men on the moon cost about $28 billion. Adjusted for today's inflation, that's around $280 billion. And remember, that $280 billion was spent on the entire program and multiple short missions. From that perspective, spending $57.8 billion to let one person live on the moon for a full year suddenly doesn't sound so crazy, does it? Part 5. The future. Will moon travel get cheaper? $57.8 billion. For most of us, that's a completely untouchable dream. But here's the key question. Will it always be this expensive? The answer is, almost definitely not. The biggest driver for cutting costs comes from revolutions in a few key areas. First, transportation costs. A fully reusable rocket like SpaceX's Starship is designed to slash launch costs by a huge amount. If they pull that off, that $43 billion water bill could get a massive discount. Second is what we keep talking about, in situ resource utilization, ISRU. This is the absolute key to settling anywhere off-world. Just like explorers in the Age of Sail had to find water and food in the New World, future moon residents must learn to use the moon's own resources. Pulling water from lunar ice, making oxygen and building materials from moon dust, every single breakthrough is chipping away at that insane price tag. Finally, the power of commercialization and competition. As more and more private space companies join this new space race, a lunar economy is starting to form. And where there's competition, there's innovation and lower prices. Conclusion. So, back to our original question, how much does it cost to live on the moon for a year? In the most economical scenario with today's tech, the answer is $57.8 billion. That massive number pays for your rocket ticket 239,000 miles away. A home that keeps you safe in an environment that wants to kill you, and the water, food, and air that are free on Earth but are more expensive than gold on the moon. This number isn't just a price tag. It's a ruler measuring the challenge of humanity expanding to another world. But the good news is, the marks on that ruler are being shrunk by the power of technology. Maybe one day, taking a long vacation on the moon will actually be on a billionaire's wish list, and not just in a government space agency's budget report. So, the last question is for you. If the cost came down to a level you could afford, would you be willing to leave Earth for a full year to experience that ultimate loneliness and magnificence? If you like this deep dive into the cost of space, do not forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.